Hey, what is up, mortals? I welcome to Season 3 Part 1 of What If Deku Was a Namu. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Mirio looked around the helicopter that carried the men and women who were joining him on a suicide mission. The top 10 heroes in Japan. Their sidekicks and any hero willing to give their lives for the sake of the country were all en route to the same location. The reason they had time to gather in the first place was thanks to Dabai himself, whom was revealed to be none other than Endeavor's oldest son. The knowledge shook the hero community to its core. Not only was the new king of villains powerful enough to defeat armies on his own, but he was a vengeful son, which robbed the number 2 of his morale. In the end, Mirio's eyes landed on Izuku Midoriya, and he swallowed. The Hero Public Safety Commission changed Midoriya's hero name to Kraken, obscured his face in a mask, and attached a robotic arm to him to better hide his identity. Gone was the light and hope Mirio had been told by his predecessor. Replacing it was a cold stoicism that chilled the blonde to the bone. It wasn't right. The youth shouldn't be here, but here he was, going into another life and death situation. As they landed in the town filled to the brim with villains, he closed his eyes and said a silent prayer. Waiting for them atop a skyscraper with an ear-to-ear grin was none other than said King Toya Todoroki. Mirio stepped from the helicopter. The moment the two noticed each other, they locked eyes, even from the great distance that separated them. Mirio and Toya were able to read each other completely. Toya felt Mirio's anger, nervousness, and confidence, while Mirio felt Toya's excitement, grief, and cool calm. Listen up, heroes. Toya spoke out. His voice sounded like it reached out in all directions, like the villain was speaking into a speaker. I'm giving you all 10 minutes to prepare, to call that person you love, say your prayers, and accept your fates. I want you all to have this peace so that you can die without regrets. I want the world to know that when you all fail, it was because the people they relied on couldn't save themselves, and ultimately were nothing more than frauds clinging to unearned fame. He snapped his fingers and helicopters swarmed in. Reporters from all over the nation had come with their cameras to witness the battle. So for the first time in your worthless lives, be useful and give them a show that'll be remembered for years to come. The heroes didn't waste a moment getting into position and readying their minds for what was to come. A few even took out their phones and called those special people. Mirio felt a tap on his shoulder and turned to face Izuku Midoriya. Mirio-senpai, do you have a phone I can borrow? I didn't anticipate having this time. The Mirio wordless reached into his pocket and handed the head of green his red smartphone. Thank you. Izuku got some distance away from Mirio to make his call. Mirio frowned sadly. He wanted to do more, but in this situation there was nothing more to be done. Uraraka, along with many of her fellow classmates and their families, were moved to a safety bunker for their protection, an effort led by the Hero Safety Commission. Yet there was one person who was strangely missing. Her boyfriend and best friend, Izuku Midoriya. She asked if any of her other friends had seen or heard from him, but of course none of them had. She almost took her concerns to Aizawa when her phone started to buzz. She looked at the number she didn't recognize, but felt compelled to answer. Hello, she answered with caution. Hi, Uravati-chan, Izuku said from the other side of the call. I wanted to call and say I love you. The words made Uraraka blush a fierce red. Deku-kun, where are you? The Hero Corps students and all our families are in a bunker. Are you on your way? There was a short pause. I'm not. I'm with the heroes who went to stop Dabai. I'm taking my dad's place in the battle, and I don't have much time before it all starts. So please just listen to what I have to say. Uraraka whimpered into the speaker. Okay. Izuku cleared his throat. When I lost my arm, when I lost everything, you were there for me. You were there for me from day one. When I was used to being alone, I didn't think anyone but my mom could be so kind. I haven't been honest with you since I was rescued, but I'm dying, Uraraka. I wasn't supposed to live past a few days after I was experimented on, but somehow I'm still here. I only have a few years left, so to me, even if I die, it's worth it if you and everyone else gets to live. I made a deal with the commission, Uraraka. No matter what happens, they promised to take care of your family's debt, so you won't have to work so hard to take care of them. Uraraka fell to her knees and cried hard. Deku, please, don't do this. It's not too late for you to run. My parents will find a way. But I can't replace you. I need you. I love you. She pleaded as tears continued to cascade down her face. Uraraka-chan, when it's done, I'll come back to you. He ended the call, leaving her to work through her feelings alone. Off in the distance, the sound of explosions could be heard. Deku had sent his best friend a detailed text message detailing his situation. Katsuki was pissed, because yet again his idiot friend was seemingly throwing his life away, and there was nothing he could do. All at once the battle had begun. Thousands of the country's worst were engaged in combat with the people who put them behind bars. In many ways, this battle was much more than a simple fight, but a war fueled by various vendettas that were finally being settled. Everyone was locked in a tense battle except for two, Lemillion and Dabai. The heroes and villains avoided the two like the plague, knowing that the two were untouchable with their level of power, and that only those at top could hope to have a chance at victory. Call them off, Mirio ordered with glare. Afraid I can't do that. I need to get rid of all these false heroes, and you and your merry band are in my way. Dabai replied in a cool tone. People are dying. Good people who only want to make the world a better place. How is any of this helping anyone? Mirio said from behind grinding teeth. I'm helping by getting rid of the people who enable bad behavior. Not everyone gathered here is a real hero. I'm proof of that, just like not all the villains here are evil. In fact, most were pushed into a life of crime because they couldn't get work anywhere else. Mirio fought to keep from frowning and acknowledging the truth in his adversary's words. All this conflict will do is make relationships worse. Killing us won't fix anything. You're angry and lashing out because someone hurt you. It's what made you into this. Can't you see? All you're doing is making more people feel as helpless as you were. Dabai chuckled softly with a frown. Yano, you're not the first person to say something like that to me. Hell, I even agree with some parts of your arguments. But let me ask you a question. What happens when heroes begin to act no better than the people they lock up? Should their victims just slip through the cracks? Or should they fight and become their own heroes? Things aren't that simple. People, regardless of their jobs or status, should be held accountable. By the same token, you can't blanket yourself with your pain and use it as an excuse to cause pain to others. For a moment, it seemed like Dabai was affected by Mirio's words. But as the villain opened his mouth to speak, a torrent of flame was shot in the space between himself and Mirio. Endeavor had arrived. Hey, old man, Toya, what are you doing? Holding you accountable. Dabai screamed his next words to the world with all the hate in his heart. Twice. Throw a parade. I don't want any interference. Okay, boss. The loud and excited voice of Twice replied as a sea of identical men dressed in black marched out attacking any nearby hero. You can either save your hero friends or stay behind and help my dear old man, but you can't do both. You get to choose who dies here. Go help the others, Lemillion. I'll deal with my son. Mirio took a look at the ongoing carnage before nodding. I'll leave it to you then. Endeavor. Mirio broke out in a sprint, activating One for All as he did so, in the belief that if he moved fast enough he could put an end to the parade of death. Alone, Toya and Endeavor sized each other up. You ready, old man? Toya asked with blue flames coating his hands. Toya, stop this madness. I know you haven't had the best childhood and that I wasn't the best father, but this is a step too far. Dabai scoffed in response. Wow. That's an oversimplified explanation of things, but that's okay. I came here to settle a score and not talk about the past. Dabai shot forward, and with his fist aflame he threw two large fireballs at his father. Endeavor reacted quickly and launched himself up into the air, propelled by jets of flames from his feet, avoiding the searing blast. In retaliation, Endeavor unleashed a medium-sized stream of flames at his son, who promptly blocked the attack with a wave of ice. Shocked, yet remaining resolute, the number 2 hero propelled himself in his son's direction. Endeavor was met with a right hook that dazed him. Dabai prepared another blast of flame in his palms. Before the prodigal could burn his father alive, Endeavor locked arms with his son. Toya had been weak from the day he was born, due to the body he was born with. But now, as an adult, he was overpowering Endeavor with his raw strength. If things stayed like this any longer, Enji knew his arms would be snapped if he didn't escape the grapple he wished to subdue his son with. Acting quickly, Endeavor unleashed a concentrated burst of flame from his feet. Enji took to the air with such explosive force that not only had he freed himself, but soared above the clouds. Behind him in hot pursuit, Dabai caught up to Endeavor almost immediately. Toya, listen to me. Nothing good will come of this. I failed you. I failed to see your needs and desires as a person, as my son. I took the hellfire in my heart and cursed you with it. I know this now. You may never forgive me, or believe that I've grieved you, but ... For all that I've done, I am truly sorry. For what happened to you, your mother and siblings. I need you to know that I love you, Toya. Even now, the various emotions that played Endeavor's face gave Dabai a moment's hesitation, which was exactly what Enji needed. Vanishing fist. In the blink of an eye, Endeavor appeared in front of his son, slamming a left hook on his chin before wrapping his son in a tight embrace. I can't let you hurt anyone else, and I've earned a one-way ticket to hell. This is the end of us both. Prominence burn. Endeavor let loose the sum total of his hellfire upon his son. Enji felt himself quickly overheating, If a heat stroke didn't kill the number 2 hero, the fall surely would. Enji closed his eyes while tears fell down his face and burned away with his fire. When his super move ended, Enji didn't dare open his eyes, preferring to simply fall to his death with what remained his son. The fall never came. You really are something else. Old man, in horror, Endeavor opened his eyes. Only the clothes on his back were burned. Dabai took a firm hold of Endeavor. Just so you know, this is Natsuo's quirk. I wanted this to be poetic, for you to know that the children you abused and abandoned have never and will never forgive you. I will, however, help you board that express train to hell. Flash freeze, frostbite. It had only taken an instant, but for Enji it felt like an eternity. His life flashed before his eyes, and in that time all he could think of was the day he'd first held Toya. He was so precious and innocent. Yet now that child was his end. A fresh crop of tears managed to crawl down his face before he was frozen over. Enji Todoroki plummeted to the ground with his sorrow and regret locked on his face and shattered into thousands of pieces. For a time the battlefield was silent. Dabai descended with a neutral expression on his face. Looks like you managed to stop twice. Good job, he said, turning his attention to Mirio, who was holding an unconscious. Twice. But how will you stop me? Lemillion became phantom, erupting with speed towards Dabai, and their battle began. However, before the first attack could be thrown, the ground began to rumble and quake. Over the horizon, a giant of colossal stature marched onto the battlefield. I told you I'd come for you, Toya Todoroki. And to you, Mirio Tagata. This is the end. No longer will that torch be passed on, the giant said in a voice that was a mix between gravel, sophistication. He created a tornado and rushed towards the young adults. The final battle for the future had truly begun, as past and present collided. Outro. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series, guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We the Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, we're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.